Visit us at EduVo. Thank you for calling EduVo.
In this video, I will learn you two awesome things, but it's actually useless cause these things are used only when you are going to use CSS to style your web page. But I'm going to learn you just in case you are going to learn CSS or you have knowledge about CSS, just in case you have some knowledge about CSS, alright? Or you are going to learn by the future about CSS, alright? But for now, let me just learn you how these things work, the IDs and the classes. First of all, let me make 4 paragraphs. If I say this paragraph, let me say my name is Frank Jeff. I'll make another paragraph the same, but the difference is the name. Why I'm doing this thing? Let me just delete it. I'm going to put them beside each other or below each other. I will say Prop Jeff, and I will say Justin Jeff. That's actually a nice name. And let's say Roman Jeff. Alright, so this thing is paragraphs, alright? But in CSS, if I want to style the whole thing, I can select the paragraphs and I can style all these. But if I have different paragraphs from these, let me just do another paragraph, external one. Let me say we went to the garden. Alright, that's an example. Alright, and now we have these things. In CSS, you use things that style the paragraphs. It does not look like this in real life and website. It does look much better, so you can design it in CSS. But what if I don't want to select the whole paragraphs and give him a style? I want to give only these 4 paragraphs a style, a different style from this paragraph. What I would do is give them the same class. Alright, I'll give them a class. Alright, I'll call them one. Alright, one style. Alright, and I'll give the same here. Alright, don't you worry, you're going to understand what I'm doing. And I'll give a class of one style. Alright, and here as well, one style, and you can give them any name of class. Alright, so if I want to style these 4 paragraphs, I will go in CSS and select one style and give it a design. So every class that has the one style, it will be changed to the design according to what I've did in the CSS. But this would not be changed. It will be normal because this does not have the same class as these things. What about IDs? IDs cannot take more than one tag, but the classes itself can take more than one tag. That's why IDs are made. Because if I have an ID, right, you cannot have the same number on my ID. It will be confused and I will get arrested for that. This is what happens in HTML, the same. You can only give an ID for one tag, so you can style it differently from the others. For example, I want to make this thing called HTML is awesome. I want to make this a different style from the others. I would give it an ID and I will call it, for example, different style. If I go to CSS and I choose different style, and I can only design this, I cannot design these because I checked this one only. Alright, I did not check this, I did not check this or anything. But the class can, by just writing one style, design the whole things that has the same class. Alright, so this is how IDs and classes works. See you in the next lecture. In this video, I will discuss about divs and spans. Alright, so let's get started with divs. By the way, these things are useless if you are going only to learn HTML. These things are powerful though if you are going to learn CSS by the future or you have some knowledge about CSS. Alright, So what div stands for? Div stands for divide. So it divides the pages to different parts. Alright, so if we go to Udemy, you have different parts of the web page. We have this heading part, we have the search engine, we have this thing, we have the instructor and my courses, and we have this sidebar, and we have this content, you know, and yeah, it's basically divided, and we have this divided into the footer, and these things are divided by divs. Alright, so we can style anything alone. Alright, so let's get started. Let me make a div. I will make a container. You can call it a container or something because it has content inside it. Alright, so when we make a div, as you see, we have a line because it has no content. But if I add content like paragraphs or h1 element, like saying, for example, I will say this is the subject of this story. Alright, so now this div has only one thing. Alright, it will take this only thing. This is a whole division of the web page, but sometimes you need to add more things like paragraphs and other things. Let me just make, and I will explain. If I said this story is, alright, let me say story, or actually stories is awesome. Alright, so what I did, I make a division of this page that I can style alone in CSS. So if I just choose this div, I can style it alone, and I can give it a single background that the other parts of the web page does not have. Alright, did you get the point? So I divided this whole section from the other sections, and I can make multiple things. Alright, let me say, and I will change this to h2. I will say story 1, and I will copy this. I'll paste it multiple times. Alright, let me just refresh, I think. Alright, so in this div, I can, as you see, if I selected this div, it will, you know, put a border between what this division is. So this is divided from this, and I can put the whole thing in one div, saying this is the whole thing, like this one div, and I can close it. Let me just delete it from here and put it below this one. Right, now let me just ident that by clicking tab. Alright, so everything is inside the division. So if I designed this, everything will be designed. But if I design this thing only will be designed. If I design this thing, it will only design this thing. If I design this, everything will be designed. Did you get the point of divs are divisions in the web page? And I can actually give them IDs and classes. For example, I will give this an ID of page header. So when I style it in CSS, I just select page header and I style it, and this only will be changed. Here as well, I can say page body, and I can, you know, change the page body style. But what about spans? Spans are actually the same, but the different spans are just small things you want to, you know, you want to change about the whole div. For example, if you have a whole div about the header, I'll make a header, right, saying h1 subject. I will say, for example, paragraph subjects are awesome. I'm saying things that doesn't have no meaning. Alright, so don't you worry. Alright, so I want to style the whole thing, including one thing, the R word, or awesome. I want to design this alone instead of designing the whole thing, okay, and putting awesome in another thing to design. I want to design everything inside this division or this section instead of this one. I don't want to style this. I want to give it a different style. I put it between a span tag. So this is what we will do. Span. Right, and I will put awesome inside this. Alright, Control C, and I'll paste over here. Now I can style everything, but everything will be styled including this thing. Now if I select expand, it will select the thing that I want to style alone. Alright, these things might not make any sense for you, but in the future about learning CSS, these things are so powerful, right? See you in the next lecture. In this video, I will talk about HTML5 inputs. The reason why I did not learn you HTML5, cause what you have learned in the past and you have understood everything that we did in the past, you do not need to learn HTML5. But you need some things to learn about HTML5, like HTML5 inputs, alright? Cause they have more sufficient ways, alright? So let's get started. First of all, let me make a label. I will show you first. In the forms lecture before, we talked about inputs and label. Here is the same, but we are going to add more attributes that will make the form or the input itself more sufficient. Alright, so let me just make another input and let me give it type of text. Alright, so I would call this a name. I'll give it the label of name. Now I can make a name now, and I give it, for example, Frank Jeff. Alright, just by me clicking on this, I can type wherever I want. But in HTML5 you can do much better than that. Alright, if I clicked on this, I can type over here. You did not understand? Let me learn you how. I'm going to do it, then I'm going to explain. Right, for, and I will call it wherever I want. I will call it, for example, form name, and I will give this ID of form name. I'm going to explain, don't you worry. Right, now if I clicked on name, now we can type. Alright, I do not have to click on this just to type. I can only even click on name and I can type. Did you see? It's so easy and simple, but you have to add only two simple attributes, the for and the ID. So what these things does, the for say, give this label the name of form name. You can give it wherever you want, but I will call it form name. Alright, and the for specify that this label has a form name, and the for is going to search for any input that has the ID of the same over here. If it has the same ID, it will go inside the input. Alright, did you get the point? So it says if you clicked on this, find any ID with the same name of the for, so it can go inside it. Simple as that. Let me make multiple of these, and you can do it with email, with password, with anything, almost everything. Alright, so let me make an example. Let me say about password. You will know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a label with a password, and I also will make an input with the type of, for example, password. Alright, now I cannot click on this and go inside it, but I can do this and it will work. But I want to click on this and I will go inside it. How we do that? Easy. For, and I will call it form bass, or you can call it wherever you want, but I will prefer you to just do form bass. Alright, and you can type ID on form bass. Right, now if I click on password, it will go inside. Other way, I can just click on that and I go inside it. Right, simple as that. What if I want the text area? You know text area? Text area, like this one, and I will make them, I'll make for it a label. Label, I'll call it write a message. Right, let me just put a PR so we can go down a bit, and another PR. Right, now if I want to click to this, I want to go inside this. How we do it? Let me just give it some calls and rows so we can make it bigger. I'll give 50 calls and rows, no, not rows, but rows with 10 rows. Alright, now if I want to click on this, I want to go inside this. How we do it? You will know how, because I learned you. You just do for form, or you know what, fancy. I'll call it fancy, or you can call it, for example, car. Alright, don't you worry, and you can give it the ID of car. Now if I clicked on this, it will search for anything or input or text area that has the same ID of cars, and it will go inside it. Simple as that. Did you see how simple HTML5 inputs are? Simple as that, right? Now let me learn you something I have not mentioned. If I made a label, right, label, and I said name, alright, and I give an input with a type of, for example, text, text. Alright, now there is a way of doing this. Instead of making name beside this input, we can put a name inside it. Did you not understand it? Let me show you. You don't need the label, simple as that. But you can do something inside this. You can give it a placeholder. You will know what is a placeholder after me doing it. You just type placeholder and you give it anything. I will say write me your name, and this is what it does. You have been seeing this all over the website, so you know what it does. Now if I clicked on this and I type, it will hide. But if I delete everything, it will show up and give me more information so I can understand what it wants. But I think this way, this way is better and more sufficient. Alright, so these are the HTML5 inputs. See you on the next lecture. In this video, I will give you a challenge, a simple challenge. Alright, by the way, you don't know how to do this thing. I will learn you by the end of this challenge lecture. Alright, so don't you do this. I want you only to do these 3 inputs. Alright, now I want you, when I click on name, I want it to go inside name, and I want to have this name you know, placeholder and everything. Alright, on email, on password, everything. Alright, when I select a name, it will go inside. When I type, I can't type text. Here is the same, I can't type email. Alright, and here's the same, I can't type, let me just, right, now when I click on, what's wrong with that? Alright, when I want, there is something, okay, okay, I got the point. What I did basically, I put, instead of this for, on the password one, I said for email. So when I click on this one, it will go to the email. Let me just fix it and put password. Alright, so this is basically your challenge. Now if I clicked on email, it will go email. If I password, it will go inside password. Now let me explain how I did this thing. Alright, and okay, let me just resize it. Alright, now we are fine. How I did this thing, that I can choose my age from, for example, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 40 to 60. What I did is basically, I'm just delete it. I label it first, said label your age, and what I did is basically make a tag called select. Right, so this basically make you this thing that I can select multiple things. Alright, but there is nothing inside it. I need to put some options so the user can choose anything. So let me just put some options. Alright, you have to put option, for example 20 to 40 or to 30 or anything you want. Now you will find this option. Alright, now let me just put it over here and over here. Now you can see that I have multiple of them. Alright, let me just change the values. For example, from 40 to 60. Right, and here is, let me just delete everything over here and let me say 60 plus. Alright, now as you see, look how cool it is. But there is something you can do also. When the user visits your website, you can put something to be selected at first. But in the meantime, now everything will be selected at this thing. The select option will choose the first thing you did. Alright, so when he visits your website, he will find 20 and 40. What if you want when he visits your website to be 60 plus, and he can choose anything he wants? Simple as that. You go to the 60 option and you make, I think, type, or let me just do it, type, not type, I think checked, I think. Alright, let me just refresh the page. No, not checked, I think selected. Alright, let me refresh. Alright, as you see, now when he visits your website, this thing will be selected because I added the selected attribute to this option. Did you get the point? But you will not want that. Everything will be selected at first. Alright, you can say, you can add an option saying like this thing, choose your age. Alright, you don't need the label because you will see why. Right, let me now refresh. Alright, as you see, it will tell you to choose your age, and you can choose wherever you want. Did you see? So this is pretty much it. See you in the next lecture. Finally, you have learned almost everything about HTML, and I'm giving you a big star about that. Alright, and now what I want you to do is basically code it, play with it and do everything you almost can with it. And by the way, I may make a course about CSS in the future, so keep it up. And if I did, I will give you, of course, a coupon because you enrolled to this course about HTML. And always be surprised that I may make an announcement about the course and maybe add things to this course. I will keep everything updated, and don't you worry if you have any question, anything you need to know, I will be there to help you.